Oh my God, so you're here, you're either a Virgo rising dating someone else, or you are someone dating a Virgo rising, all right? The Virgo as a man, Virgo as a woman, this can change a little bit, but ultimately we're gonna talk today about Virgo rising, what it's like dating them, and having a Pisces in the 7th house or a Pisces Descendant, okay? So we're gonna talk about the Virgo Ascendant and the Pisces Descendant. They work on an axis. All right, they come together. If you have this as ascendant, you are most likely going to have, depending on what form of astrology you are using, the Pisces and the Descendant. So Pisces Descendant is automatically starting off by me telling you to like and subscribe to this channel if you are looking to create an incredible sex life leveraging astrology. Because what I'm about to tell you about your ascendant and how you relate with your partners in the 7th house, the Descendant, about the Virgo, about the Pisces, is going to help you to create an incredible sex life. That's why you need to press boop, subscribe. All right, so Virgo in the Ascendant, and this can apply to people with Virgo placements as well, because there's always a contrast. All right, but this is specifically in the space of relationships, the relationships you have with yourself, your identity, right? How you see yourself, how others see you as well, the powers you carry, a part of your rising sign, that is yourself. It's part of your consciousness in a sense, all right? And it's the lens that you almost look through. And the Virgo rising lens, to really get into it, is, in my opinion, very misunderstood for starters. Let's start there. It's misunderstood. It's misunderstood because, my microphone is ready. It's misunderstood because people look at them as perfectionists, all right? Like, I've dated a Virgo rising, and I can see very clearly where people view them as perfectionist. And they might be just the closest thing to perfection. They just might be. But it's less about them being perfectionists if you're dating this Virgo rising, rather than they're analytical as fuck. All right, so it's more like they analyze details that your average common person just won't care to do. So in reality, rather than looking at them as perfectionists, I look at them as necessary. All right, necessary in the spaces of your body and your health, and how you take care of your daily mundane task, like doing the laundry, doing the dishes, all of these little things. These are things that Virgos are fucking phenomenal at. So if you're dating a Virgo rising, I really say good for you, because you're gonna probably really receive a type of care that you may have never received with anybody else. You're gonna receive a certain type of compassion to do all the things that you just fucking hate doing, which makes you wanna be in love with that person even more than everybody else, all right? So that's that, and I wanna move over to the Pisces Descendant and talk about that a little bit. As I tell you again, to like and subscribe this video. If you are a Virgo, drop a Virgo comment with the little emoji, or Pisces, I want you to drop that as well. If you have either one of those two, in the comment box below, and tell me what your experience was like dating with somebody else. Let me know. As the Descendant, Pisces, for a Virgo rising, having the Pisces in the 7th house in their Descendant space. Now, whether you have it on a planet or not is going to change, whether you just have it as a part of your Descendant and it's not on a planet, or if you also have 12th house placements or the Virgo placements in different planets, things can shift a little bit, but more so just to focus on how it plays in conjunctions and aspects and contrast. So with the Descendant in Pisces, what you're looking at is this Virgo rising, this Virgo ascendant will often see you as somebody who's helpless, all right? Because Pisces has this victim mentality. They have this, they play spiritual games. Really, they play like interdimensional games, right? Pisces doesn't have any borders. And so you may notice, like what I noticed as well in my relationship, like there were really like boundaries didn't really exist. It was like, that kind of sucked. If I'm being honest, like it kind of sucked. Like, you know, Pisces in 7th house, this is 7th house counting your business relationships, your platonic relationships, and your friendships. You're sitting there, you're dating this person, you're romancing with this person. Check in with yourself of if and when you ever get irritated about boundaries being crossed, or about boundaries when you set them, how they seem to either one be ignored, which can be just a perception, or the boundaries you set may seem to not exist, this could be part of it, right? And this also in the space of business, friendship, relationship. So if I think about it like that, like there's really key to watch for that, because Pisces 7th house is always going to be part of being a mutable sign. Both of them are, and it's feminine. Okay, so with that being said, a feminine mutable sign, you have to understand that feminine energy is automatically associated in some capacity with chaos. All right, chaos is magic in my opinion, and when you create balance and order, balance in like some organization, which Virgo's amazing at organization, you're gonna love this. If you're dating this Virgo, you're gonna love the organization. You're gonna love how the pantry and the kitchen looks, and the bathroom, and how shit is just clean, and you know, you're gonna love this. But you also gotta watch, if you're a Virgo rising, for being overly obsessed with being neat, overly obsessed with cleanliness, overly obsessed where, like, I've had times in my relationship where, like, I think I had a scarf on the bed. Like, the bed was made. I made the bed, and I had a scarf on the bed, and like 2 earrings, and one other piece of article of clothing just on the corner of the bed that I forgot about earlier in the day. And you know, my lady got to the room, and I was like, it was a freaking like panic attack. It was like an eruption of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was almost confused. And this is where we got to start learning about really respecting not just your values, but the values of your partner, and recognizing what their values are, what your values are, because you know, we only freak out about certain things that seem small to us and really big to the other person because of how that person is measuring what they value, that thing of discussion. All right, so for me, it's like, if the bed wasn't made consistently, or if it was like I made it and then it was just messed up, that might be something I value. That this is part of my upbringing. I value making the bed. But 5 hours later, after the bed's made, something's put on there until later, not intentionally. This is not something I value tremendously. It's like, okay, something's on the bed. Like, when the time comes, it comes. And so be mindful, Virgo rising, be mindful of, when you're dating these people, the criticism that is actually not coming towards you. It is actually directed all inwards, and it gets projected on you. And this is the effect I think that the Pisces has on the descendant side. It gets almost like psychically and emotionally and empathetically projected onto you. So all of the things that the Virgo rising is struggling about how it's criticizing itself. Self-criticism is major. Like, check this, I got a meditation video all about like, stop criticizing in your head. And I did this during Virgo season, because yeah, everybody had a lot of super duper critical energy in the air. We had Mars in Virgo, we had the Sun in Virgo, freaking the Moon had to be in Virgo at one point. It just finally left and went into Libra, a lot of these different things, Mercury in Libra now. But be mindful of the criticism, all right? Be mindful of, with a Pisces 7th house, Pisces Descendant, be mindful of when your partner, oh, it's getting hot, bro. In Colombia, checking in. Ay, caramba. Like South America, Colombia. And be mindful of when you begin to think your partner, this is more for the person that's dating the Virgo rising and the Virgo Ascendant, this is when your partner seems like they just can't take care of themselves. They seem helpless. They seem like the victim. They seem like they just don't know how to do anything. They're listless. They just seem like helpless. Victim mentality. Be mindful of not allowing yourself to fall into that trap, that hole, because if you're feeling like that person's projecting that onto you, or if you're the partner dating the rising, the Virgo rising, and you as the partner is feeling like, what the fuck, and it's confusing, recognize that this is where the boundary needs to be set. Even though Pisces sucks at maintaining and honoring the boundaries, because they don't have them. They're just expansive, imaginative, creative creatures who aren't even fucking human. They're just from all dimensions, all parallel realities and universes happening all at once. Things on Earth don't matter in a way. So be very careful. If you are dating a Virgo rising, be very, very careful. Really check in with, is this okay or not with you? And recognize as well that a lot of times you don't actually need to respond. You don't need to respond to the criticism that seems to be projected onto you. Actually, in reverse, you probably need to be still and recognize that actually that person is outwardly not able to deal with the amount of criticism that they've already loaded on into themselves, that they have to begin to splurge and spit shit out. All right. So if you're dating a Virgo rising, Virgo ascendant, recognize they have this Pisces Ascendant on the opposite side, and you know, it could really be troublesome. I will say that because, you know, Pisces is not a nice sign in many ways. I think people think Pisces is only compassion, they're only empathy, they're only care for the world. But you have to recognize it's the two fish, which is duality, right? And those two fish represents the opposite of everything. If there's hope, there's despair, right? If there's love, there's hate. And Pisces operates like this, but only the nice kind side comes out. Their dark shadow side actually is ridiculously manipulative in an invisible way, like in a way that crosses all barriers and boundaries. So really be mindful of this and talk to your partner about it, because it's like, I'll be honest, like I've had moments where like I started to believe that I was doing something, and then I had to really start getting clear and recognize, like, as I start stepping more in my masculine energy, because I'm naturally more feminine energy dominant. Like, it's part of my past life as a Cancer. I'm in this life working towards also being a Capricorn in my North Node. So it's like a Scorpio for an Ascendant, right? Check my Scorpio Ascendant video, Scorpio Rising video here. That would be lovely. I would appreciate that. It's actually one of my biggest hit videos, so you should check that. I think it's also in the dating and love relationship space. So, you know, naturally a Scorpio Rising or Virgo Rising, I think they pair well because the Taurus Descendant and the Pisces Descendant, they pair well, right? The Pisces is able to give Taurus the amount of love and compassion unconditionally that it wants. And Taurus is able to give the earthly grounded stability to the Pisces that it needs, because it is pretty much not operating on planet Earth. So it won't care about these earthly things the way Virgo will. Virgo is be obsessed about it almost. Pisces is completely like blah, 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 about it. So recognize in your relationship with this dynamic, are you with this person because they're supposed to be reflecting back to yourself in what ways you don't have boundaries and what ways you're hypercritical? This is one of the things I recognize from me. It was a relationship really reflecting to me how critical was I, and also showing me how much I've grown from that criticism. So this is the magic. This is a lot of where the gratitude really set in for me, like putting ourselves in a positive frame of how to really digest what that relationship was like. Like the positive frame was me recognizing, holy shit, Pernell, you really should be proud because you've grown from being such a critical person, but you never even knew how critical you were until you dated a Virgo rising, and that was reflected. And also recognize that Pisces in the 7th has the ability to make you feel their pain. Like when fishes are in danger in the sea, they're not like the crab like Cancer with a shell, and they're not like Scorpio who has an auto defense paranoia mechanism. All right, they're the third water and the last water who is a fish, and fishes don't have defense mechanisms besides run away. So when you're dating a Virgo rising, recognize that they will more likely run away when it's time to get really hypercritical and judge themselves at an unfair, perfected, which is more analytical sense. But recognize that their analyzation is part of how they tap into their spirituality. They need to analyze in order to tap into their spirituality. Pisces don't need to analyze shit. So one of the things to recognize with this dynamic is to allow yourself to get out of your head a little bit, especially if you're the one dating the Virgo rising. Also stay out of your head because they already are in their head enough for both of you, all right? And yeah, so stay out of your head and recognize that what that Virgo rising, what that Virgo ascendant is meant to learn as part of their actual reflection is to just chill the fuck out, to be a little bit more like Pisces, a little more elusive, a little more carefree, allow themselves to have fun. Recognize that like Virgo risings, in my opinion, they really struggle with like just allowing themselves to have fun. Like it's always what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. It operates more like a Virgo rising, like a computer rather than a human many times, which is ironic because it's doing all the human mundane things. You feel me? So this is my personal interpretations. Pernell Bobby asking you to like and subscribe. I really believe all of these things are what helps you to create an incredible sex life, because when you begin to navigate this, think about how many less fights you'll begin to have when you don't take things so personal, recognizing that Virgo rising, that ascendant is not actually judging you. And if they are, which they probably are, actually, they're not judging you harder than they're judging themselves. And actually, the judgment that you feel is being projected onto you is just a physical and verbal manifestation of how they've already fucked themselves in the ass. And they are now, that bottle is full of so much judgment and criticism and analyzation that it has to spill out somewhere. So, you know, they really definitely need a lot in the relationship, a lot of stimulation. They need something that, honestly, I think sex works tremendous for Virgo risings, because in the process of sex, the act of sex, the magical, sacred union that comes when you connect with somebody on a sexual level, it, from a Virgo rising, I think gives it a break to fucking get away from the mundane things, to get away from criticizing. They are not able to be, they're having more of an outer body experience. You feel me? Like, you're not able to, they're not thinking about their business plan. They're not thinking about, you know, what's next. They're just thinking about feeling, because it's still an earth sign. It loves to feel. It's still about feeling and experiencing the emotions and going through it all. So this is my interpretation, Pernell Bobby. One more time, if you're looking to create an incredible sex life, leveraging astrology, I'm your guy. Book a natal reading with me. If you're still here, drop a Virgo or a Pisces emoji, whoever you resonate with more. Book a reading with me. Actually, right now, currently until like halfway through the month of October, they are at 50% off, and that is a big joy for me. If you're ever looking to work with me one-on-one on something else as well, holla at your boy. Boom.